Hello and welcome to another video on finding the lowest common multiple using prime factorisation. So we're just going to get some more practice in this video, and the first question is to find the lowest common multiple of 30 and 48 given that we know that 30 is 2 times 3 times 5 and 48 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. Now if we start with 30, in order to be a multiple of 30 it has to have a 2 times 3 times 5 in. That's the smallest multiple of 30. So it has to have a 2 times 3 times 5 in. That shows that it's a multiple of 30. And now to be a multiple of 48, it has to have a 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 in. Well, we've already got one of the 2's, but here we're multiplying 4 2's together. So we need to multiply on another 3 2's. We also it needs to have a 3 in, but we've already got that from our multiple of 30. We've already got the 3 here. So this is our lowest common multiple. 2 times 3 times 5 times 2 times 2 times 2. So now I just need to evaluate what this actually is. So if I do 2 times 5, that gives me 10. 10 times 3 is 30. 30 times 2 is 60. 60 times 2 is 120. 120 times 2 is 200. Oh, is 240. So that is my lowest common multiple. Okay, so I've got two questions for you to have a go at. I'd like you to find the lowest common multiple of 18 and 56 and the lowest common multiple of 84 and 200. And I want you to use the prime factorisation that you've already been given. Okay, so let's start with the first one. Well, to be a multiple of 18, it needs to have a 2 times 3 times 3 in, so we can write that down straight away. Now, if we look at 56, to be a multiple of 56, it has to have a 2 times 2 times 2 times 7. So it needs to have 3 2's being multiplied together. At the moment, we've only got 1 2. We need to multiply on another 2 2's. So we need to multiply on a 2 times 2. But in order to be a multiple of 56, it also has to have 7 as a factor. We don't have any 7's here, so we also need to multiply on a 7. So this is our lowest common multiple. And again, we need to figure out what this is. So let's start from the beginning. Let's do 2 times 3. That gives us 6. 6 times 3 is 18. 18 times 2 is 36. 36 times 2 is 72. Now we need to do 72 times 7. So 7 times 2 is 14. 7 times 7 is 49. Plus 1 is 50. So our lowest common multiple of these two numbers is 504. Okay, let's go on to the next one. So again, let's start off with 84. So to be a multiple of 84, it needs to have all of this business. And now in order to be a multiple of 200, it needs to have a 2 times 2 times 2 times 5 times 5. Well, we've got 2 2's being multiplied together, but here, to be a multiple of 200, we need to have 3 2's being multiplied together. So we need to multiply on another 2. So now we've got the 3 2's. And we also need to have 2 5's being multiplied together. Well, at the moment, we don't have any 5's. So we need to multiply on another 2 5's. So we need to multiply on 5 times 5. And just to show you this, we can see that it's got a 2 times 2 times 3 times 7 in, which shows that it's a multiple of 84. And it's also got a 2 times 2 times 2 times 5 times 5 in, which shows that it's a multiple of 200. So again, we just need to evaluate this. So 2 times 5 is 10. 10 times 5 is 50. 50 times 2 is 100. 100 times 7 is 700. And then 700 times, well, this here is 6. 2 times 3 is 6. So 700 times 6, well, 7 times 6 is 42. So it's going to be 4,200. So our answer is going to be 4,200. That is our lowest common multiple. Right, so now it's time for a bit of fun. What I'd like you to do is sort these expressions on the left into the correct regions on this Venn diagram. And if you're a bit unsure of what a Venn diagram is, basically what we've got here, we've got 3 categories. We've got multiples of 8, multiples of 10, and multiples of 12. And the reason why these circles overlap with one another is because we may have an expression over here that is a multiple of more than one of these numbers. So for example, if we did have an expression that was a multiple of 8 and a multiple of 12, but not a multiple of 10, then it would go in this region over here. So what I'd like you to do is pause the video and give it a go yourself. But before you do that, I encourage you to break down these numbers here into their prime factors. Okay, so I'm assuming you've had a go at that. So let's go through this. So the first thing I'm going to do is break down these numbers here into their prime factors. And the reason why I've done all of this is that it should help me when identifying which regions these expressions go into. So first of all, let's start with 2 squared times 7. So is it a multiple of 8? Well, no. To be a multiple of 8, it needs to have 2 times 2 times 2. Here we've only got 2 times 2, so it's definitely not a multiple of 8. Is it a multiple of 10? Well, we need to have a 2 times 5. We don't have a 5. We've got the 2, but we don't have a 5, so it's not a multiple of 10. And finally, is it a multiple of 12? Well, we need to have 2 times 2 times 3. We've got the 2 times 2, but we don't have the 3. So in fact, it is neither. It is not a multiple of 8, nor a multiple of 10, nor a multiple of 12. So what do? We put it on the outside. We put it inside this rectangle, but outside of these 3 circles. So I'm going to put it over here. Now moving on to 24, we could break this number down into the product of its prime factors, but I know my 8, 10 and 12 times tables, and I know that 24 is in my 8 times table, and 24 is in my 12 times table. So it's not in my 10 times tables, so it's going to go in this region over here. Right, so 2 squared times 5. Well, that's definitely not going to be a multiple of 8 because we need 3 2's. To be a multiple of 10, we need 2 times 5, and we've got 2 times 5. We've just got an extra 2 here. And a multiple of 12, we need to have 2 times 2 times 3. And again, we don't have any 3's, so it's not going to be a multiple of 12. So the only one it's a multiple of is 10. So it's going to go in this region over here. The next one, 2 cubed times 5. Well, that's going to be a multiple of 8 this time because we've got 2 cubed. We've got 2 cubed here. We've also got 2 times 5. We've got 2 times 5 here as well. But we don't have a 2 times 2 times 3. There's no 3's as a factor of this number. So it's going to be a multiple of 8 and a multiple of 10, but not a multiple of 12. So it's going to go in this region over here. Now let's use orange for this next one. So 2 squared times 3 times 7. So multiple of 8. No, it can't be a multiple of 8 because we need 3 2's. We've only got 2 2's. To be a multiple of 10, 2 times 5. Well, we don't have a 5 either, so it's not going to be a multiple of 10. Now, does it have a 2 times 2 times 3 in? Yes, it does. 2 times 2 times 3. So it's definitely a multiple of 12. So it's going to go in this region over here. So now let's choose this turquoise looking colour, or you might want to think of it as a paddling pooly colour. So 2 squared times 3 times 5. Well, again, we don't have 3 2's, so it's not a multiple of 8. We've got the 2 times 5, so it's definitely a multiple of 10. And we've also got 2 times 2 times 3, so it's going to be a multiple of 12. So it's going to go in this region here. Multiple of 10 and a multiple of 12. Now this next one's quite easy. 4. 4 is not going to be a multiple of either of these numbers because it's actually smaller than all of these numbers. So just like this one here, 4 is going to go outside. Now I'm going to choose grey, and I know it's a bit boring, but I'm running out of colours now. So 2 cubed times 3. Well, that's definitely going to be a multiple of 8 because we've got 2 cubed. It's not going to be a multiple of 10 because we don't have any 5's, but it is going to be a multiple of 12 because we've got 2 times 2 times 3. We've got 2 times 2 times 3, but we've just got an extra 2. So it's going to be a multiple of 8 and 12, but not 10. So just like this one here, it's going to go in this section. Now let's move on to 2 cubed, and I've decided to go with an apricot flavour for this one. So 2 cubed, that's definitely going to be a multiple of 8 because it is 8. It is exactly 8. So it's definitely not going to be a multiple of 10 or 12 because if it's 8, it's going to be smaller than 10 or 12. So it's going to go in this region here. And last but not least, we've got this one here, and this is sort of a maroon colour. So where does this go? Well, it's going to be a multiple of 8 because we've got 2 cubed. Multiple of 10, we need 2 times 5. We've got 2 times 5. A multiple of 12, we need 2 times 2 times 3. And we've got 2 times 2 times 3. So it's actually going to go in the middle. It's a multiple of all 3 of these numbers. And you probably guessed that because we've got nothing in here at the moment, but it's going to go in this region. Now hopefully you had as much fun as I did doing that. And hopefully it also gave you a bit more practice using prime factorisation when calculating multiples. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.